What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this video. My name is Hayden and you are watching FBA TV. So those of you who don't know who I am, I've been selling on Amazon coming up to about 3 years now. We do multiple six figures and I sell in the USA and I sell in the UK. So if you want to hear more about Amazon FBA in general, make sure you like and subscribe to this video and channel. Thanks very much. Anyway, let's dive into this video today. So I'm going to go over my top 7 accounting tips for Amazon FBA. As I say, I've been coming up to 3 years now, so in that time I promise you, you learn about accounting and bookkeeping even if you really don't want to. Luckily for me, I've got my accountants, awesome, who are also the sponsor for this YouTube channel. However, they are also my accountants and have been my accountants coming up to around about 2 years now. So luckily I spoke to them a little while ago and I managed to pick up some 7 key tips along with what I've learned doing it myself. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So tip number 1 for Amazon FBA accounting and bookkeeping. Tip number 1 is to create a purchase tracker from the off. If you are new, you need to create a purchase tracker. Make sure you've got everything down. Now, why is this important and how do you do it? Okay, this is important because if your accountant at the end of the year needs you or your virtual assistant to actually give back the information to them, explaining where this receipt's for, what this receipt's for, what this purchase is for. If you've got multiple purchases doing online arbitrage or wholesale, there's going to be multiple hundreds and hundreds, thousands sometimes of purchases from online arbitrage specifically, depending on what business model you're doing. You need to know exactly what that price was, that transaction for. So how do you do this? You create a spreadsheet. You've got the title, you've got the ASIN, you've got the date when you bought it, etc, etc. That means that if you bought something on a specific date, you can literally at the end of the year, if your accountant says where's this from, what's this product from, this is the price, this is the date, you can look back onto your spreadsheet and then you can give your accountant that information. You can then figure out the rest of the accounting in the books after that. So very important. Tip number 1, make sure you have a purchase tracker. We've still got a purchase tracker. We're almost 3 years in, as I say. Tip number 2, I've got some notes down here. Tip number 2, don't overthink things. It's very easy to overthink stuff, okay? So just don't overthink it. Don't worry about it, okay? Don't overthink it. It feels overwhelming to start with. Oh, do I need an accountant? Oh, I need to do my books, blah, 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 blah. Look, you get about 10 months, okay? You get about 10 months before you've even got to worry about accounting and bookkeeping. That doesn't mean you should wait 10 months to get an accountant, by the way. It's very different. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Stay to the end of the video. But what's important is to not worry about it for the first 8 to 10 months, really. As long as you're doing what I say in this video, you don't have to worry about it, because look, HMRC isn't running up, running behind you really quickly trying to, pick up your trail and stuff like that. They don't really start, requesting information for like 10 months a year, okay? You need to do your first year's tax return before you worry about that. So don't overthink things, don't worry about things, listen to the video, get some good advice, get some good knowledge, good accountants, and you should be absolutely fine. Tip number 3 is create a Google Drive. Not only do you want to create a purchase tracker, but within the Google Drive, which should be the purchase tracker as well, within the Google Drive, you want to create everything in there to keep your receipts. Every single one of your receipts, you need to be, I actually use a software which Awesome has, and they take all of our receipts for us. However, right, if you don't have that to start with, you want to create your Google account, create your Google Drive anyway, get all of your receipts into that G Drive, into their own folder, get the purchase tracker in the folder and things like that. Make sure you've got your information about everything that you've bought in your Google Drive so that you've got it all in one easy place. So when it comes to the end of the year, okay, then you can literally say to your accountant, it's all in here. You can make sure all of your bills and softwares and stuff like that, make sure them sort of receipts don't get lost, and they're in there as well. Make sure everything is in there so that it doesn't get lost at the end of the year, okay? So you can just give everything to your accountant. Tip number 4, sole trader visa limited company, okay? So this is very important as well. You need to talk to your accountant about this, okay? Or get some advice from an accountant. Awesome will give you some free advice if you want to reach out to them. There's a link below. I would get some free advice and figure out what the best is for you. Is it a sole trader or limited company? Let's go into it quickly, okay? So with a sole trader, if you're planning to stay small, it might be the best route for you, okay? Or if you're planning to get big, it might be the best route for you. Because what you can do here is when you get to the 86,000 VAT threshold, what you can actually do here is then start a limited company and then it refreshes, so you don't have to go to the VAT until you've done, I don't know, around about, well, quick math, 172 $82,000, I believe. Obviously, don't take my advice. This is not accounting advice. This is not, this is not official FTA advice. Okay, this is just my advice, from what you hear. Okay, so 86,000. Once you hit that, it then resets when you start a limited company. Okay, but make sure you're checking all this with accountants first. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. That's the word I was looking for. With a limited company, however, if you want to start it, it depends how fast you're going to grow, how much money you've got to invest into the business, because you may need to go VAT registered soon. And also, when you're a limited company, that means you've got limited liability. It means there's less risk you run in that company. Honestly, there's perks for being a limited company and there's perks for being sole trader. For me personally, I know I wanted to go big from the start, so I went to a limited company straight away, but that's not always the best route. Speak to your accountant, get some free advice, okay? Tip number 5, separate bank accounts. Now, this sounds like an obvious tip, but it's not. Some people, right, still use their personal bank account to run this business. It's an absolute no-no. It makes a nightmare for the accountants if you do this, okay? It makes it a nightmare. And also, you just want to keep it separate. You can't run a proper business if you're buying your cheese and your jam and your butter for your kitchen, and then you're also buying 400 quid's worth of, I don't know, perfume for your Amazon business. It just doesn't make sense, and it makes it a nightmare for your accountant and things like that, okay? And it's just not proper, okay? So look, get yourself set up properly with a business bank account, separate it all, right? I've actually got a couple of business bank accounts. We've got the one for the tax, then we've got our main one, then we've got our investment loan and stuff like that. Just make it proper. Promise you, it will feel better when you make it proper. The next tip, when to get an accountant, okay? I said I was going to talk about this. It's important to get an accountant, honestly, right? So I got an accountant around about 8 months in. But here's what I had to do. I had to pay for them to back up the books that I missed out on. Okay, because if you get one from the start, some people say get one from the start, some people say get one 8 months in or something, just, so they've got enough time to do your books before the annual tax return. It depends how much you're doing, and it depends who you are as a person. For me, I wasn't worried about it, and I can sleep at night not worrying about it, and and I was happy to pay a quite significant sum for them to backtrack, right, and actually look after all my books and go back on all my old books, the monthly books that I'd missed out on. But if you do it from the start, if you get an accountant from the start, then it means that, well, it's not going to be that much because you're not VAT registered and you're not doing high numbers, so it won't be much, and it will be more when you get bigger and bigger. Accountancy fees get higher the more revenue you do, okay? It means that you won't have to stress about it. You won't have to worry about this big backlog of work that you've got to then get the accountant to do, and there's going to be a large sum you have to pay. Now, I can't remember the exact pay, but it was coming up to about £1,000 that I had to pay my accountant when I was about 8 months in. Or you can pay a monthly fee, and then obviously they can do it from the start. There's no right or wrong. But if you're going to worry about it, if you're going to stress about it, get an accountant fast. Now, I use Awesome, and there's actually a 2 months free accounting, and they will set up your company for free and everything like that. If you need it, if you don't need it, that's fine. There's a link below, okay, for that. That's 2 months free accounting. So I suppose if you get the 2 months free, then you haven't actually got to pay for that many months, and it may just be a small price plan you need to be on anyway if you've just started as a new seller. But anyway, you're the one that has to make that decision. I can't make that decision for you. If you want to wait, then that's fine, right? Maybe save the link below that I've got for 2 months free so that you can actually get even more free accounting, and then the hit's not going to be as big. But anyway, that's a few things to bear in mind when to get an accountant, okay? And then the last tip, make sure you use accounting software. Now, I use Awesome, and they have actually got software already integrated into their package. So if you sign up with them, they literally link my books, Xero, and they live chat, and they do it all for you, and it's fantastic. I don't have to do anything because my virtual assistant actually that I've got sends them my receipts. So apart from sending them receipts, which is pretty straightforward, you don't really have to do anything when you use them. But if you're not going to use them, or you're not going to use them at the start, then you need to get your own accounting software, whether it's Xero, Link My Books, and you need to make sure everything's integrated so that you can actually see exactly what's going on in your business. As I say, I haven't personally got time for that, so I get Awesome to do it for me. But you need software. You need software, otherwise it's going to be an absolute minefield, okay? Now, I hope that video's helped. That was my 7, I think that was 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my 7 top tips, accounting tips and bookkeeping tips for Amazon FBA. I will see you in the next video, and make sure you subscribe, please, please.